Ukraine didn't storm the depot. They unplugged it. In the next minutes, you'll see how F-16's Neptune missiles, M270s rake the perimeter, and a drone-fed sensor net turns Russia's eastern radar brain dark near Luhansk. What failed as an armored push becomes a surgical cut, strike, sever, step back. Stay to learn how layered EW, Patriot intercepts, and a passive sensor mesh collapsed command and control in under 90 minutes, and why that created a strategic blind spot bigger than any destroyed tank column. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. The depot didn't look deadly. It reached sensors, beams, and range rings stacked like overlapping shields. That's why a wall of steel failed at the edge. You weren't fighting a building. You were fighting a field of effects. Near Luhansk, this hub functioned as a relay brain that stitched the sector together. Radar arcs cued batteries. Long-range fires timed their salvos off common tracks. ISR feeds flowed through a switching spine that merged drone eyes, ground scouts, and airborne scans into one picture. It shaped fights before first contact. Every emitter had a job, every antenna a lane. At dawn, the spearhead surged. T-62 and T-55 hulls led, flanked by BMPs with rockets in tow. The plan was shock and early speed, smash past the belt, flood the yard, crack the node. But the ground answered first. Mines laced the approach. Pre-sighted fires lit the lanes as if a curtain dropped on cue. Air defenses overlapped in altitude and range, clipping low drones and forcing manned cover to stand off. The push met a map the defenders had already drawn. Ukrainian teams had preloaded the air. Patriot coverage sat in reserve to swat lofted retaliation and keep the space clean enough for their own drones to work. Forward EW trucks rolled in pairs, antenna masts up, cutting noise from signal, protecting friendly links. By the time steel hit dirt, the air picture was already shaped. Recon drones stacked in layers, small quads near the deck, fixed-wing assets higher up. They fed infrared overlays to a joint cell that drew heat lanes where engines bunched, where exhaust gathered, where tracks churned. The surprise axis became a forecast. Anti-armor teams moved to trunks and culverts, not guessing, but meeting a pattern they'd already mapped. Artillery shifted from fire plans to fire solutions in seconds. Meanwhile, jammers fed by North Korean gear tried to wash the spectrum. GPS jittered, comm-nets flickered. But Ukrainian KAC-2 MEW and passive receivers kept NAVWAR links alive and turned those hostile emitters into targets. When the enemy shouted, the net heard bearings. When they whispered, the passive grid still drew lines. The spectrum became a hunting ground, not a blackout. Mi-24s pressed from safe arcs, shedding rockets into choke points, forcing the column to bunch. Su-27s added altitude pressure, ready to slash at exposed air threats or mark targets beyond the ridge. Artillery built boxes at the breach, front, sides, rear, so escape meant a lane they already owned. Each distance bit you in a new way. Tracks slowed. Crews hesitated. Radios filled with short, clipped calls. The depot's real armor was distance and denial. Long-range batteries reached before you did. Radar cueing cut reaction time. Electronic reach blunted mass by breaking timing and trust. A tank line relies on momentum. This grid breaks momentum. A spear can't stab if the shaft keeps flexing. So the label, impossible, wasn't brag. It was the sum of radar, comms, and air defense stacked in depth, tuned to punish anything that came in tight and loud. The armored push failed because it played by the node's rules. It offered mass to a system built to tax mass with interest. You don't outmuscle a net. You slip it or you cut it. That leaves a simple, brutal lesson for you. If a frontal drive feeds the grinder, you don't take the yard. You kill the current. Sever the relays, starve the batteries, mute the eyes. No flags on the roof. No platoon in the lobby. Just silence where the orders used to be, and a corridor to act before the lights come back on. How do you kill a brain without touching the body? You blind it, sever it, and walk away. Ukraine shifts from brute force to incision. F-16s orbit as airborne quarterbacks, not to bomb, but to choreograph. M270 launchers rake the perimeter and the feeder roads. Neptune-class missiles line up for hardened nodes. Over all of it, a drone-fed mesh feeds timing, angles, and aim points, so every round lands with intent and sequence. But then the spectrum turns hostile. Heavy jamming surges back. Radar homing threats hunt any emitter that dares to light up. Both sides throttle their signals. The field goes quiet. Quiet doesn't mean blind. It means you rely on different eyes. Passive nets take over. Heat and sound become tracks. Engines thrum at a cadence you can triangulate. Exhaust plumes, even under cloud, leave a thermal seam you can stitch into geometry. Drones stop shouting and start whispering, low-power data links, short bursts, tight beams. Target coordinates move as faint pulses across the net, not as long calls. At range, intercept batteries hold the lid on. Patriots and similar systems sanitize the sky from anything lofted in anger, cutting off the fast payback that usually follows a strike. Meanwhile, rotary wings get to work on the close-in claws. Mi-8 and Mi-24 crews edge the northern and eastern arcs, raking point defenses, forcing radar pickets to shut down or shift. Every time a sight blinks, another sensor marks the gap. The F-16s run the clock. They meter the gaps between shots, push precision assets toward the relay dishes and comm spines, and stagger angles so defenses can't face one threat without exposing another. It's the cut-the-wires doctrine: hit the dish, then the trunk, then the backup link that sits silent until the first two die. M270 volleys shape the ground. Perimeter batteries get smoked in waves, not for glamour, but to close doors. Feeder roads turn into no-go lanes. Bridges and culverts that look small on a map become the choke points that starve a node. Artillery pairs the steel with timing, laying sloughs that pen vehicles into kill pockets. Autonomous mine layers ride just behind the dust line and sow fresh belts where escape once ran. Motorbike teams sprint to the northeast artery and drop obstacles, then fade before counterfire finds them. Each strike removes a nerve. Radar first, because eyes set the rhythm. Comms next, because orders die without a path. Backup links after, because a brain will try to reroute, and you deny the reroute. With every cut, coordination bleeds. Batteries stop volleying as one. ISR stumbles. The sector loses the shared picture that made it fast. For the next stretch, the pattern holds. Precision hits the high-value plates, suppression pins the claws, passive sensors keep the aim true without lighting a beacon. You watch for signs of life, new emitters, new routes, a surprise reserve, and you answer with the same sequence. Strip the eyes. Mute the voice. Break the nerves. In roughly 90 minutes, the relay goes dark. Not occupied. Neutralized. It leaves a blind spot in the eastern view and drags long-range targeting into lag. The yard still stands, but the reach is gone. Crews inside can move, but they can't knit the sector back together at speed. The last move is restraint. Portable mesh extenders pop online to relink Ukrainian teams for exfil and damage checks. Then they power down and step back. The airwaves stay under their hand without a flag on the roof. Control comes from reach, not from walls, and reach can vanish as fast as it arrived. Victory wasn't ground taken. It was sight stolen. Cut the brain, and the body stumbles, radars mute, batteries drift, timing dies. That's the lesson you carry into any fight that lives on networks and reach, not flags and fences. If you value clear-eyed breakdowns of multi-domain warfare and how precision beats mass, subscribe and share. Comment your choice below, decapitate the network or fight the line. Your call signals what we dissect next. Next, we'll dissect how passive sensors keep working when the spectrum turns to noise, and which side learns faster under pressure. The tricks are simple, repeatable, and cruel to slow learners.